This episode is brought to you by John Blake Sales Breakthrough Solutions, helping you to at least double the amount of leads that you get that convert into paying clients.
Welcome to the Master Dealmakers Secrets Podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Okay, so I am particularly excited today because I have Ken Okazaki with me. Ken is a video marketing expert. I have been wanting to get Ken on the show for quite some time. Video is such an important part of content. It's such an important part of the internet. It's such an important part of social media, of websites, and we're very, very lucky to have Ken with us because he has such a deep understanding of the media, the production part of it, the content part of it. And I am really looking forward to asking Ken some questions and getting his input for the listeners today. So Ken, welcome, mate. I'm so stoked to have you really appreciate you being available today for us to have a chat.
Thanks, John. Really glad to be here too.
Awesome. So Ken, can you give us a little bit of background? I mean, I know that you're from Japan. I know that your English is incredible for someone who speaks English as a second language. Can you give us a little bit of background about your what's led you up until what's led you to
Absolutely. Happy to. First of all, yes, I am Japanese, born and raised in Japan.
Yeah.
But I think English is my stronger language simply because from a young age, my parents put me into international American school in Japan.
Gotcha.
And I actually, at 17 years old, I left home and
Wow.
I traveled the world for 11 years straight. And just having that really early start to like an international exposure, that's probably, it's done two things for me. Number one, helped me learn that English is really, really useful when you're traveling. And number two, it's given me a really good worldview on business and on just engaging with people. I guess entrepreneurship is about solving problems, right? And when you're 17 years old, broke on the streets of Mumbai and trying to figure stuff out, then your problem thinking cap goes on and it gets to work right away. And I applied a lot of that to entrepreneurship and the businesses that I run right now.
So was it always about video or was it more so just about marketing in general and then you sort of found your way?
Sure. So before this business, I was running large scale personal development seminars here in Japan. And I'm not the main speaker. It was my company. I was the promoter. And what we do is we'd partner with world-class speakers. I'll just say a few names here so you understand the scale. People like Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, Nick Vujicic, Les Brown. These are like kind of well known in the speaking industry. And I knew that if I could get these famous people on my stage in Japan, then I could fill the room, right? Yeah. So every other month we'd put on a seminar, a few thousand people, and these weren't discount tickets. Front row seat is like $7,000, back rows about 700, and every other month we'd fill this stadium, right, or the event hall. Mm-hmm. And after a couple of years of doing this, we were actually producing the largest personal development events in Japan. But I really hated it. Running these events is a headache. There's
bums on
so
seats, right?
Yeah, the logistics behind ticket sales, promoting, running the events, the staff, the some of the speakers with really big egos, and and I'm here, the organizer, trying to keep everybody happy, and the business running. So, eventually I decided I want to get out of the business. And the thing that quick story, I had a little bit of money because, I was exiting this business, and I wanted to build a new business that I really loved. And instead of thinking, what can I do? The way I went about it was to think about, what do I want in my life? Right. And I came up with 5 things that I loved. Mm-hmm. I love, number one, having access to world-class influencers, right? Just being able to get on a call with them, whether it's in business or otherwise, right? The second thing I wanted was to just have freedom to travel wherever I want in the world. The third one, I want to spend more time with my family, my wife and kids. Fourth one is I wanted to do something with cameras because I'm Japanese. I can't help it, it's in my genetics, right? And number five, I wanted to make sure that this wasn't a financial roller coaster every single month, because in the events business, it's 18 months in advance. You're putting down a deposit for the hall. You're paying these speakers. Some of these speakers literally are over $1 million for them to show their face on my stage, and I gotta put all this money out before I start selling tickets, and it is a stressful situation to be in. And because I got to commit 18 months in advance, I've got all these overlapping campaigns, and I'm like digging a hole within a hole within a hole, and then trying to dig out. But then I got to keep this cycle going in order to keep selling more. So that wasn't fun. So I wanted a business where I'm cash positive every single month. So with these 5 non-negotiables, I created a video marketing company, and I approached some of the speakers who spoke on my stage and said, "Hey, you know how I filled that room for you? How about I help you do that globally by producing great content, just like I did in Japan, but we'll do it in English. And how about I help you? I know you're busy. So once a year, we'll spend 2 days, and we'll shoot all your content for the entire year. And we're going to help you plan it. We're going to direct it. We're going to edit it. We're going to get it out for you. And we'll spend 2 days. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's going to be enough content for the whole year." And they just like, sign me up. So that's how I started this agency. So in order for me to be able to travel, which I love doing, I rent these luxury locations. I did London, I did LA, I did San Diego, I did New York, Tokyo, like places I want to be. I set it up like a reality TV show set, 8 different sets, 8 different locations, costume change, makeup artists, catering, the whole deal, a full film crew. And then they'd show up, they'd feel like a rock star, right? And we just shoot all day and get them out. So that was my initial foray into video marketing, is planning, directing, shooting social media marketing content, and then having team take care of the rest, editing, repurposing, and distribution. So I don't know, is that too much detail or not enough?
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, so that's how I got into it. I went in with a marketing mind, because this is what I was doing to fill my rooms. And I know that these guys speak all over the world, and if they could run their own events, I know they're making a lot more money, and they like that, right? So that's how I got into this. Now, obviously, since COVID, we're not doing the traveling thing, so I had to reinvent my model. And now we do similar things, but it's more on a monthly recurring retainer model, or we help people set up their home studios. If they need it, not all of them do, but if they do, we give them coaching around content creation. Sometimes we actually live direct over Zoom, and we help them create content to market their business. Whether it's coaching, we have some people in the medical industry, fitness industry. It's all over the place, but it's really, if you see a path for social media to generate the leads for your business, then video is probably the best way to do it.
Awesome. So there was a couple of step off points from obviously your background, what you do right now. I totally get the whole wanting to not want to stay in the events thing, because it's just the whole bums on seats thing. It's so stressful. Like I've got I've had a little bit of exposure to that. One particular guy who I won't name, who is paying like a superstar. Like I think he writes out a check to get this guy to fly to Australia for like 250,000.
Yeah.
And that's before he's even sold a ticket.
Yep.
So then he's just got to chew. It's like, bite off as much as you can chew, and then just chew like hell to try and make this thing break even. And there's no guarantees. And then the whole thing becomes a pitch fest so that he can make enough money off the back end from everyone's sales. And then there's that.
I think I know who you're talking about. Australia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right. So
I think there's like 3 players in Australia that do that on that scale. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I have an idea of who that is.
yes,
But yeah, it's a headache. But some people love it. Some people love the the large event vibe, the getting up on having the authority to run these things. It's a very powerful position to be in.
yeah,
And people attribute a lot of that authority to you just because you're associated with these people. So, and that's going to get you connections, it's going to get you great access to the banks if you're looking for loans for real estate. There's just something that this clout opens doors for you. And I did love that, but it didn't outweigh the negatives in my case for me.
yeah. Well, it doesn't. Yeah, like I guess certain personalities would be drawn to that, would enjoy that, the adrenaline and all the rest of it. But we're all motivated by different things, I guess to work out what you get clear on, which world-class influencers, travel, more time with family, cameras, and getting off the roller coaster, is an important thing. I mean, I had a similar thing. People will often say to me, "Oh, why aren't you more like this guy that teaches sales?" Or why aren't you more like this guy that's got this huge profile and massive amounts of followers? And my one sentence answer is, I'm motivated by different things. And those things tend to revolve around being able to surf as often as I possibly can.
There you go. I would reply and say, why? I wonder why they aren't more like me.
Yeah.
Like, how many hours did they get out on the waves? How many tubes did they catch? How many sunsets did they watch on the beach? And and how fit are they? It's you choose your own poison. I mean, when I say poison, I mean that in a very flexible way. But what you choose is not good or bad. It is simply a matter of allocating the hours in your day.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And how much time do you want to spend on a stage? How much time do you want to spend in an airplane? How much time do you want to spend sleeping with the people you actually enjoy their company, and you don't have to put on a show. You don't have to perform. That's downtime, right? Uptime is when you're on it, right? And some people need 8 hours of that every day on sales calls, presenting, training, and they need zero, downtime where they're just themselves. And that's okay. But it's just time allocation. That's all there is to it in life. Your whole life, that's all there is. How many hours per day do you want to do what?
Yeah, that's it. Totally in alignment with that. And yeah, so much of what you just said then, it's like, how do you want to spend your time? Like there's people that, that you see them on social media and they're forever posting, that stereotypical image of looking outside the plane window and seeing the wing. I did that because at one point I live in Perth, and
whenever I see those, by the way, and hold that thought about Perth, whenever I see those and they're bragging and I see that they're behind the wing, I'm just like, you're in economy class, dude. At least upgrade, right? But if they're in front of the wing and we see the front of the engine, I'm just like, all right, good job, business class. Maybe. That's what I look for. Are you behind or in front of the wing?
So at one point I had 80% of my clients on the East Coast. So not only would I have to spend a day,
and you're in Perth, which is just for people. I don't live in Australia. No. What's that trek look like? How many hours?
Mate, it's like LA to New York.
It's really that far.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's like what, 5-hour flight? 5 or 6 hours?
Well, depending on where you leave from. So if you fly from Perth to Brisbane, that can be like 4.5 hours. If you fly from Perth to Sydney, that can be 4 hours. If you fly from Perth to Melbourne, that can be anywhere between 3 and 3.5 hours.
Wow. So, I think for people that don't live in Australia, it's hard to appreciate the scale of your continent.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is huge. But there's this, like, the middle is all desert, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that commute is rough then. 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
And camels. So it's a day of traveling to get there, and and then you obviously do the speaking gig, and then you fly home. So it's a 3-day thing to speak for a day. And that got so old so quick. And when the pandemic thing happened, well, my productivity doubled instantly.
Yeah.
Because now I can talk to 7 clients in a day, whereas before I'd be struggling to talk to maybe 2 or 3. So, so the whole speaking thing, in as much as, you can get 5-10 grand for a keynote or whatever, it's like, nah, I won't do that.
Not long ago, somebody reached out to me because they saw one of my videos on Facebook or something, and they're like, "Hey, could you do a keynote for us?" I'm just like, "Well, I don't usually do keynotes," and they're just like, "Look, it's just half an hour." I'm just like, "Oh, maybe." I said, "Is it live or is it virtual?" And they said, "No, you have to be here." And I'm just like, "Nah," and they're just like, "We'll pay you $35,000." I'm just like, "Okay, I'm listening," right? And then they told me they're in Denmark. I'm just like, no.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm gonna fly to Denmark to do a half-hour gig and back for 35,000. Like, I think a couple years ago I would have, but now I'm just like, no, it's too disruptive of what I've got a good thing going,
Yeah, it's good.
Perspective changes a lot.
It's good when you get to a point where you can, where you've got the presence of mind to be able to say no to that, and then you just create your own rules, which is what you've done, which is brilliant. So, what I wanted to do, because the conversation so far is fantastic in terms of lifestyle and choices and business and making up your own rules. So I think there's value in that, most definitely. But in terms of this, this ongoing requirement for content, like there are so many people that have got, big depths of knowledge in their chosen area. And I'm not just talking about influencers or coaches or consultants. I'm also talking about people that run actual businesses, brick and mortar businesses. And I am mindful that a big percentage of my listeners do have businesses. And they all should really be coming up with content, because, I'm sure that you'd be familiar with, the Challenger sale, where half of the businesses that were surveyed in that book, 5,000 businesses, said 53% said that they would buy to start off with, or that they would continue to buy from a company or advocate on that company's behalf, i.e. promote them, because of the sales experience. And the sales experience was categorized as, helps me navigate alternatives, gives me unique perspectives on the market, helps me avoid landmines, gives me ongoing advice. Well, all that is content. All of that is education-based marketing. So there is this constant need and necessity to come up with content. And I'm curious, so you're helping somebody to come up with content for an entire year in a day.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to if there's a particular framework or a particular formula that you have found to work really well to extract some of that content that people can
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that most business owners underestimate how much they actually know that is interesting to other people. And just to give an example, I was watching this TV show, and it was actually an Australian show called Wife Swap. Have you ever watched that?
I have. A friend of mine went on it.
Oh, really? Okay. I just happened to watch this one where there was this very, very, let's just say, country couple, and the husband was a farmer, right? And he was a sheep farmer.
Yep.
And then the couple that they swapped with, they were like this influencer couple that were very city slicker, urban, and the wife was a YouTuber. Mm-hmm. So when she got out there, when it was, the way the show goes, she gets a turn and he has to do whatever she says, right? And she says, "We're going to make a video. You're going to start a YouTube channel about how to do what you're doing." He's like, "That's what am I going to talk about? I got nothing." Like, he was so against it. She goes, "Okay, what do you do first thing in the morning? He goes, I milk the cows. And he goes, okay. She goes, I will hold this phone and follow you there, and you just talk me through what you're doing and answer the questions that I ask while I'm filming. So then he does that, and that video, how to milk a cow, got like 15,000 views in 3 months. And I actually went and found that video. And that just goes to show, there's no, and it wasn't her channel. It was, she started a new channel for him.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, if that's all you know and it's boring, then of course you're going to think it's not worth making a video about. But I had the same experience recently. I was like, hey, here's behind the scenes of how I set up my home studio, or what I do to prepare right before I go live. Mm-hmm. I do that every single day. And I thought it was not interesting. That one got a whole bunch of traction. People were just like, oh, that's what that is. And that's how that works, right? So the lesson here is you got to have somebody who has the eyes of, a kindergartner, who is going to be so annoying and keep asking, why do you do this? How does that work? Until they're satisfied at that childlike level. And that's how you've got the right content plan for the top of funnel. When I say top of funnel, that means people who are not problem aware and not solution aware yet. And they're just, they are problem aware, but they're not solution aware.
Yep.
And they don't know who you are necessarily, but that content is going to grab their attention. So I hope, if anyone ever feels like they don't have the expertise, if you're running a business, then you have expertise people are willing to pay for, period. If you're running a business that's making money, because there are thousands of people, millions, who dream of running a business, but haven't started for one of many reasons. So back to your question, little daisy picking there. There's I have a simple format, and I call it Hilda, right? Mm-hmm. And Hilda is stands for H is for hook, mm-hmm. I is introduce yourself, mm-hmm. L is lead, as in lead anticipation, mm-hmm. D for deliver, or dopamine, and then A for ask. And if you look at these 5 principles, or these 5 stages, as, let's just say, like cue cards when you're like presenting on TV or you have a speech, mm-hmm. if you just write 1 or 2 bullet points for each of these, how am I going to hook them in? What's my opening statement that is going to get people to want to commit and continue watching? After you hook them in, how can I introduce myself in such a way that gives some perspective, but as short as possible? Like, who am I? What do I do? Right? Mm. Lead. What's the story you can lead with? What's the context you can lead with? What's the thought process you can lead with? That's going to set up what you deliver, the thing that people actually came for. And then once you deliver that, there should be dopamine running in their bloodstream at this point.
Yep.
Then you can ask for a micro commitment. So a micro commitment is not join my webinar or get into my group or sign up for my emails. A micro commitment is share this video, hit like, comment below. And we have to make that bottom, that first commitment as easy and as smooth and as painless as possible, because it's a very, very competitive space out there, and you have to make the entryway as slick and as smooth as possible.
Yep.
And then, that's it. You get them to do a little something. They'll probably watch more because the algorithm will report that, hey, this person is engaging with your content, therefore we'll show more like that. And engagement drives more engagement, and it compounds on itself. Look, if we have time, I don't know if we do, but I'd be happy to walk you through this process once.
Yeah, that'd be epic.
Okay, let's do it. Are you going to show this video as well?
Yes.
Because I could just sketch through some of this stuff. But first of all, let's, I wasn't planning on this, but this is what we do in our agency is for our clients, the ones who buy the coaching package, once a month, mm-hmm. we map out 4 of these Hildas, right? Yep. And that's going to be their content plan for that month. Mm-hmm. And then they go and shoot it. Our video editors edit it. And then next month we do the same thing. So then every single week we have what we call pillar content. That's kind of medium or long form content that mm-hmm. uses this Hilda format. And that gets repurposed into the short TikToks and all the, the Instagram reels and stuff like that.
Got it.
So let's do this.
Awesome.
Well, let's start with John. What's a question you get probably more often than anything else?
How much follow-up is too much?
How much follow up is too much? Okay, and I'm gonna make that the hook here.
People are scared of being seen as pushy, but they don't realize how people buy, and they
Okay.
don't realize that a lot of people are just preoccupied with other stuff, and they are interested in buying. But
Okay. Let me unpack this piece by piece. Okay.
yeah, cool.
So let's use that as the hook because if this question is being asked to you a lot, how much follow up is too much? There's a good chance that your ideal prospect, your customer, or your client is going to be asking this question. Now, I'm going to go to the deliver to the thing we're actually going to teach here, and what do you want people to learn as a result? Like the answer can be very simple, but what do they actually? What's the lesson they need to learn if they're asking this question?
That there is a way to follow up with someone where they won't feel like you're annoying.
Okay, so tell me if we take this way, whether it's a system or a process, could you break it down into like 2 or 3 steps?
A lot of people who listen to the podcast want to know what we do over at Master Dealmaker Secrets. And effectively what we do is we work with sales professionals and business owners all over the world who are seeing massive increases in their top line sales revenue. So we help business owners and sales professionals to effectively focus on the 3 key drivers to growing sales revenue in your business. The first one is controlling the message that you send out into the marketplace so that potential clients see and hear and read what you do as an opportunity as opposed to your competitors. The second thing that we do is we help you to create a direct path to the 20% of your ideal clients that will deliver 80% of the revenue. So everyone knows the 80-20 rule. We help you to develop a direct path to the 20% of the people that are going to give you 80% of your sales revenue in your business. And the third thing that we allow you to do, that we create a process for, is for you to be able to double the amount of leads that you get that convert into paying clients. So if this is of interest, we do have an application-only process to become involved in this particular program. And to get to there, all you need to do is to go to www.johnblakescall.com. So it's JOHNBLAKESCALL.com, and there's a couple of questions to answer there. And then what you'll do is get on a quick conversation with me, and I can find out a little bit more about what you've got going on in your business and see potentially whether what you are doing would be a fit for what we could help you with. And at that point, I can extend an invitation if it's a fit, and you can make the choice to come on board or not. So that's the opportunity. That would be the next step if you're looking at how you can take things to the next level. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, if you're getting value from it, I invite you to do that, and I will look forward to talking to you. The website is www.johnblakescall.com. Talk to you soon.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to follow up on someone in a non-annoying way, what's the first thing you got to do?
You've got to have a way of communicating with them that is proactive but low pressure.
Okay, communicate proactively and low pressure.
Yep.
Active and low. Okay, and so let's say we have that nailed. We have this way to communicate proactively and with low pressure. What do we do once we master that? Once you have this communication cadence, it's proactive, there's very low pressure. What else do we need?
We need to, like, timing's really important. So we need to know when to communicate. So when to call and when to use written communication. and we
Okay.
need, and there needs, like you say, to be a cadence. So, it can't be too frequent, but it needs to be consistent enough to be able to get a result.
Okay. So how about we change? We have communication, proactive. We have timing. Let's make the other one channels, right?
Yeah,
if the channel is going to be, we have DMs, right?
Yep.
We have email,
Yep.
right? We have phone, and we have video conference, right?
Yep.
All right. Does that about cover it?
Yep.
Okay. And so if they communicate, if they master proactive and low pressure, they got the timing, they know when and when not to and how often. They got the channels. Do you think that's about, I mean, I know these are pretty big topics, but if they master these three things, do you think that's about it? Or do you think that there's something else?
The fourth one is like the Hail Mary. So it's like,
what's that? Show up at the door and knock? That would be my Hail Mary. Like, it's not working.
I call it the gone dark email. So that's the one that's the one that you use when you get absolutely no response at all from the previous three.
Okay, so let's leave that as a secret. Like, we're not.
That's like this. That's like the silver bullet that you use when you're done.
Okay, now, John, I know that you work with business owners, right? Mm-hmm. Can you, without naming them, could you think of somebody who really improved their communication skills using these four methods? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to ask you some lightning round questions. Is it a man or woman?
Sure. It was a man.
Man. Okay. Age, 20s, 30s, 40s,
50s? 30s.
30s. Okay. And what's his occupation?
He owns a business.
Business. What type of business?
A manufacturing business.
Manufacturing business. Okay. And is he married?
Yes.
Kids?
Yes.
You know how many?
2.
2 kids. Okay. And could you think about something about him that makes him stand out? Is he tall and skinny? Does he wear Coke bottle glasses? Does he have an interesting accent? Long hair? Anything about him that's going to give him a bit of, stand out?
He lives in a town in the wheat belt that has a population of 600 people.
Town, 600 population. Okay, cool. Now, this person, when they first came to you, what was we're going to paint it like a before and after kind of picture, all right? What was his biggest frustration? The thing that he wanted help with the most? Because he probably came to you for a solution, right?
Yeah. But he was doing great with lead gen. So he had, he was not certainly starved for leads at all, but he was not good at converting them into actual paying clients.
Okay. And how was that affecting his business?
His cost per lead was quite high, and they were missing big opportunities in their monthly sales figures because they weren't converting the number of opportunities into paying clients that they should have been.
Okay. How was this affecting his personal life? His wife, his 2 kids? If it was not notable, then we don't need to make anything up.
Yeah, look, there's nothing that.
Okay.
I mean, he knew that he could do better, and he had tried to do better. He'd actually seen me speak at a conference, and had tried to implement what I taught.
Okay.
Himself, but they hadn't done a very good job.
Okay. So let's just say tried to DIY and failed, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the before picture. Now he's worked with you. He went from having good lead gen but bad conversion rates. How would you describe that situation now?
Fixed.
Okay, so we just say good lead gen and great conversion?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know roughly what his conversion number used to be?
Yeah, it was about 20 or 30%. And then it went up to 50 with some guys converting 80%.
So 50 to 80, that's a huge conversion.
Yep.
Okay. And let's say that his CPA was too high, he was missing targets. How's that looking right now?
Oh, they are doing so well that they ended up shifting from having. So I'm sure you're familiar with the theory of constraints. They went from having a lead conversion problem to having a production problem.
So would you say that the new problem is
they can't keep up?
New problem is too many sales.
Yeah, too many sales, and they can't make enough. I think they've that was a while ago. They've been able to make some inroads and change their production up since then. But yeah, the immediate problem was shifted from not enough sales to too many sales, and they can't make enough. Too much stuff on back order. I think they had $5 million worth of product on back order.
Okay. Now the last one, he tried to DIY it and he failed. How about now? What's your relationship with him?
Well, he's got the systems in place. He's still.
And is this something you did for him, like a deep done with you or done for you?
Yeah, well, I did with him. Over about 12 to 18 months.
Resulted.
Yep.
In systems. Would you say full systems integration? Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, really just optimized a lot of what he already had, but put a lot of the written and verbal communication in place.
Okay. Communication systems. Okay. Yep. So we're putting some meat on these bones here. Now, in your case, when you let's work on an introduction for you, right?
Sure.
And my framework for this is really simple. First name plus who you help and how, or your title in your company, or something you're known for. In my case, I'd say, hey, my name is Ken. I help businesses to get leads and sales with video. Or I'd say, hey, my name is Ken. I'm CEO of All This Media Global. Third one would be, hey, my name is Ken, author of the 7-Figure Video Funnel. So one of them is like building authority. One of them is just a job title. And the third one is a little who you help and how. In your case, my name is John. And what would you tack onto that?
I would say I help business owners to maximize the number of inquiries that they get into paying clients.
Okay. That's too long.
Okay.
How can we shorten that
up? Help business owners to maximize sales in their business or optimize sales in their business. I'm not sure what the better word is.
Okay, let's just say maximize sales.
Yeah.
And we don't have to say in their business because that would be kind of redundant, wouldn't it? Because we already said they're a business owner.
That's fair.
Help business owners to maximize sales.
Yeah.
Now, what's typical for your client base? Let's say they work with you for 18 months, right? From the entry level to when they exit, like this last guy we talked about, he like doubled his conversion, right?
Yep.
But is that typical or is that like an outlier?
No, that would be typical.
Okay. So should we say to 200% your sales?
Yeah.
Okay. To boost conversions, 200%.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Taking the same thing and just changing the words here. Now, this gone dark message that we talked about, is that something that that you teach in, like, let's say, like a private group or in a paid membership area?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to make this up here. And if you decide to in the end, you can do that.
Yeah.
Let's just see. 4 steps. Okay, so I'm going to run through this here as you. Now, if John Blake was an Asian looking guy, then this is what he might, what his content might look like. Now, I'm literally just going to read through this and just kind of put it into prose, like a conversational format.
Sure.
Not conversational, just regular speaking. And this is what my clients do. We literally give them like 5 things with bullet points. Okay, so let me start in 3, 2, 1. How much follow-up is too much? Now, if you're a business owner, you're probably afraid that by over communicating, you're going to scare away your customers. But you're asking the wrong question. The correct question is, how can I communicate in such a way that they're going to want to buy from me? So let me walk you through this. But before I do, quick introduction. My name is John. I help business owners to boost their sales conversion by 200% or more. Now, if you want to hear how this works, let me explain it in story format. So I recently worked with a man, and he's in his 30s. He's in a manufacturing business. He's got 2 beautiful children and a beautiful wife, but he had one problem. So he lives in this tiny town in the middle of nowhere. And in his manufacturing business, he told me that he was having great lead gen, which people would say that's wonderful. But his problem was his conversions really sucked, to be honest. And he was only converting about 20 to 30% of the people who were qualified leads, yet for some reason they weren't buying. He also told me that his CPA, the cost per acquisition, the amount he was spending on ads, was way too high, causing him to miss his profit targets. And we actually met at a conference, and he took what I had taught and he thought this makes sense. But when he went home to try to implement it, it actually failed simply because he had a hard time implementing it all by himself. Now, what I'm about to share with you is exactly what he did. And these are 4 simple principles that when you master, and this won't happen overnight, but when you master, you may get results just like him. And I'm going to share what these 4 things are in just a second. So after working with him and helping him one-on-one in his business, his conversions went from the previous 20 to 30% to 50 to 80%, which is a huge difference and pretty much doubled his business. And his problem before was that his cost per acquisition was too high. The problem is we solved that problem too well. And his next problem became that he was not able to keep up with the orders. And now he is sorting that out, but it's a much better problem to have than not enough sales. Now, I told you before that he tried to implement all this by himself, but what's happening now is we helped him implement it for him. His team is trained on it. Everybody knows how and when to communicate in order to get the sales and hit those targets. So you're probably wondering right now, what are these 4 things? So I'm going to share that with you right now, but I want you to take some notes because this is something that I had to develop over time. A lot of trial and error, many years of running my own business, testing this to make sure it works, where I feel right now I have enough authority and experience to teach it to other people. So write this down. Number 1, you want to communicate in a way that's always proactive, not reactive, and low pressure. It is no longer the 80s or even the 60s style selling that you see in the movies. This is 2022. Nobody wants to be, have their arm twisted by a salesperson, and everybody can see when it's coming. And now it's as simple as just clicking off. You don't even have to slam the door in their face. So you have to know what is the right way to do it proactively and also the right words to use so that they never feel pressured. Number 2, timing. When to communicate. It's not how often, actually. It's when and when not to. And when you understand the cadence, which is going to be different in every business and in every industry, then you will master the art of timing. Now, the third one is master your channels. When and to whom should you be DMing? When and to whom should you be emailing? When and to whom should you be making a phone call? And when and to whom should you get on a video conference call? There is a time and a place in the process that these all play a role as the primary means of communication. If you get these mixed up, you will piss people off and you'll probably never see them again. Now, here's the last one. A lot of times in a sales conversation, things have gone dark, meaning that they stop responding. They're ghosting you. And this happens even to the best of us. But I put together a script that if you ever have a situation where things have gone dark and you want to turn this conversation around right quick, then you want to use the script. But here's the thing. I don't want you to just grab this and write this down. I want you to actually come inside of my group. So I've got a free group here. And if you get inside of there, the script is for free. This is the Gone Dark Hail Mary script that works every single time. So if you want to get a hold of that, just click the link below, jump inside the group. It's 100% free. And we're going to go over a lot more detail on communication and optimization skills. And you're going to get this script absolutely free. That's on me. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you again next time.
Mate, that was brilliant.
John, does that make sense?
That was brilliant. I get the impression that you might have done that at least 300 or 400 times.
Probably more.
Yeah.
So what's great is it's all 100% your words, right? And I just ask questions.
Yep.
and you gave one word answers pretty much, and we just put it into a format.
Yeah.
And it's your content, your experience, your stories put into a structure that, quite frankly, works really well.
Yep. And for everyone who is listening, you can go through and create that for really anything that any product that you might be selling, or any particular part of your business. You could go through and you could answer those questions as Ken asked them, and you could go through and create the exact same framework for your particular product or service. So I was,
and just for the audience,
I was certainly not expecting that, but I was very pleasantly surprised. So thank you.
And we didn't rehearse this, right? Like there was no rehearsal going on.
We totally did. So thank you.
Yeah, and also depending on what people say, there's a lot of ways you could go about it. Like, and I think for the listeners, the most important thing is to spend a lot of time on the hook.
Yep.
I'm auditing a lot of big celebrities. When I say celebrities, like business owners type celebrities, their TikTok, their YouTube, their Instagram, and I'm looking for what's the biggest, make or break factor in the videos, and it's almost always the hook.
Yep.
Is that initial statement you make succinct? Does it use simple 5th grade words, no fancy terminology? And is there some connection to one of two things, money or love? And if you can reference that somehow, then you will get more engagement, you will get more views, and you will get more shared.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it's just that classic headline, isn't it? It's like, it's the headline, it's the email subject line, it's the hook in the video, it's the
all the above.
The first 3 or 4 seconds that elapses that determines whether they hang around and keep reading or keep listening or keep watching or otherwise.
That's it.
Awesome. That was fantastic. Thank you, Ken. That was brilliant.
Absolutely. I have a lot of people actually, my clients, what they do is they'll just take the recording and send it to their virtual assistant and say, hey, can you transcribe this? And then they'll make a few edits, and then they'll just read it off the teleprompter. So that's what happens a lot. But yeah, it is a lot of fun for me, simply because I think that a lot of people are looking through, a dirty lens when they look at their own business or their experience. And my job is to point that camera back in their face and polish it up and show them how good it can look if it were just formatted differently. Yeah. There's no embellishment. There's no storytelling. There's no, fake influence. It's, well, as long as you're telling me the truth when I ask you questions, it's 100% true, just formatted in a way that, it looks a lot better than you might have realized.
Yeah, really. And I love that analogy. It's hard for you to see your own stuff clearly. Because and
as a coach, you know the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What you see in your clients, they might not see it for themselves. And that's what my job as a video coach is, what I do for people.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I love the demonstration. It speaks so much more succinctly than than a linear explanation of what you do. Like that's particularly powerful, most definitely. So content wise, you're doing 4 of these per month. You're chopping it up into bite-size chunks and distributing it through all sorts of different media. Mm-hmm. So the process for content, you certainly covered that extremely well. What about production value? Is that becoming more or less important? Is it, it seems as if production value is increasing. There are, I think
it depends where you're looking.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at YouTube, then absolutely people are investing a lot more in better cameras, better editing, better sound, better color grading, like everything. And if you look at, like, for example, Mr. Beast, he spends like what, $2 or $3 million just to make the video on top of the money he's paying inside the videos, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking, and I was listening to a podcast he did.
Was that the one with Rogan?
I'm no, not that one.
No,
But
right.
someone asked him like, how much do you pay for the different things? And one of the things he mentioned that stood out to me is he pays a graphics designer $10,000 per thumbnail on YouTube. That's how much he pays, because even as simple as they look,
Yeah.
it's not the graphics designer's ability to manipulate graphics. It's the graphics designer's ability to get people to pay attention.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated, but you have to understand psychology. Now, so that's one side of the spectrum is YouTube. Now,
Yep.
on the other side, we have the TikTok universal format. And I call it universal format because it's, even though TikTok is crushing it now, we don't know if it's, 10 years from now, it'll still be around, or it might become the dominant place. But what we do know for sure is that the format that they invented, which is number one, mobile first, right?
Yep.
YouTube was built for desktop. It's compatible for mobile.
Yep.
Instagram was a photo sharing site. Now they made it compatible for mobile. Everything was desktop first.
Retrofitted.
TikTok is the one that is for mobile, and it can be accessed from your desktop. So that's rule number one. The TikTok universal format. It's mobile first. Number two, it's got to be entertaining. It's not educational. It's not DIY stuff or how tos. It's entertainment, and people are there to be entertained. And if your content is not entertaining, you're done, right? Number three, there's got to be this kind of song and dance routine. Now, anybody who's running a business is probably just like, I am not going to do a dance in front of the camera. And here's what I say is either you're going to do the song and dance, or the content that you're presenting is going to song and dance for you. And that means great titles that engage the audience. Either you're going to move your booty, or that title is going to move around in such a way that just keeps people engaged, and what you're saying has got to be valuable, right? And the length is really only limited by one question. Is it interesting? And if it is interesting, you could go on for half an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, the limit now on TikTok is 10 minutes, but this is not a magic number.
No.
Even though 1 minute, like right around the 59-second mark, is the optimal length from everything I've tested so far.
Yep.
I've seen outliers where people have a very long video, but they're just really, really interesting all the way throughout. So, that's what you got to think about. And it's not about converting leads on that sale. I mean, on the video view, it's just about building authority. And when the time comes, people will find you. They know your name. They'll look you up. They'll find you. You might not even be able to track it, but they will find you. So, and that's all shot on mobile phones, right? So, when it comes to production quality, I mean, phones are really, really good. They just got so good that it's, for a lot of people, it's indistinguishable from a $50,000 camera in under certain conditions. But I think that the question people should be asking, not about the quality or production level, is how can I get better at storytelling? Just like I did with you. How can I get better at using the phone in my pocket and communicating my message in such a way that is both interesting, engaging, and entertaining, instead of how can I buy the camera that's going to make me a superstar? That's the wrong question. What editing software? That's the wrong question. It's get in front of the camera, do 100 reps of just making content, and then you're going to see what works and what doesn't. You'll start finding patterns. You'll see what feels natural to you in front of the camera. And if you want to work with a coach, somebody to walk you through that, then you could certainly reach out to me, or you could Google it. There's a lot of people who can help you structure content and get your video looking better, or working better at least.
Yeah, I mean, you've touched on a couple of pretty massive things there. Like I was, I guess like a lot of us, was introduced to the beast because my son was watching him, and then I listened to this interview with him, and it blew me away. Like I think he said he was like 500 employees or something, like some ridiculous amount of people that work for him, and he talked about him buying an island and recreating the whole Squid Game thing for his own purposes, and like that guy's making some big bets on video content. It just blew me away, the scale, and like
he's probably the most influential online personality.
Yeah,
I'd say right after Elon Musk, probably.
Yeah.
Those guys are neck and neck as far as like how many eyeballs are watching their every move online.
Yeah. It's just incredible. I mean, and what is the guy in his 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late.
It's just bizarre. And then the other thing that you said, it reminds me of, because I've been a long-time student of copywriting.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how to write copy, but I don't consider myself a copywriter. It's one of those things that, you end up just doing because you out of necessity. But I always remember, like long form sales copy, it's like it can't be too long, but it can be too boring.
There you go.
Like, who's going to read this? Well, the person who's going to read it is the person that's interested in it. So, to your point about, how long is too long? It's like, okay, well, optimum is about a minute, but it could be 10 minutes if it was interesting enough. And if the story was being told well enough for it to be longer.
Yeah. And one of the things that I did, and I didn't really explain what I was doing, is all the way throughout when you're presenting on video, you want to open up loops and then close them all at the very end, except for one. And the final loop can only be closed by them taking some kind of action. Right. Gotcha. So there's this repeating pattern where you open a loop. Hey, I'm going to share this with you. Hey, I'm going to share how this person did this. I'm going to do this. And then you fulfill on every single one, so that final loop that you open, they have this repeated expectation it will be fulfilled. And therefore they're trained by you in that 2 to 3 minute video to take action and close that final loop by joining that group or getting on, downloading your free thing or clicking the link or whatever. So that's a pattern that, I did very fluidly, but it took me a while to just be able to think of these things on the go as it comes.
Yeah, it's like that whole, I'm about to share this with you in a minute, but before I do that, and you've opened up a loop.
Yeah.
And occasionally, because I run live events every now and then. This year, not so much, but previous, at least 4 or 5 a year. And every now and then you'll say, there's three key things that you need to keep in mind, when you're doing this. And occasionally, like, you'll talk about the first one and the second one, and because it's live and you're in the moment, and there's things that you can get sidetracked on, you won't mention the third thing. Yeah. And then someone will go, what's the third thing? Because you've opened up that loop and they're expecting it. And then you don't close that loop, and it just sits there, and it's like, what is it? What is it? So it's the same thing. Yeah.
And if you do intentionally, then that'll keep people on the edge of their seats.
Yeah. Well, I think the couple of times that I'm thinking of, I didn't do it intentionally, but yeah, it's incredible how powerful that is.
Yeah. I used to teach middle school in Thailand. So
wow,
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I bet.
What I do is I would bring, I'm from Japan, so I'd bring like a Japanese tree, and I was just like, hey, I have this tree, and it looks cute, right? And I'm going to give it to one special person at the end of the class, and I'll leave it on my desk. And I'll teach the whole day, and at the end, everybody's being really good, and at the end, the bell rings, nobody's running out. And I'm just like, it's like, so who gets the prize? I'm like, okay, great. I think you're the winner for today.
Ken gets the prize for incredible behavior management.
I leave that treat where they could see it the whole time, and they're salivating the whole time, Yeah. So, that might have been a precursor to, opening up loops and giving people reason to stay. But, with kids, it has to be visual and very, very visceral for them to desire that.
Yeah, that's so powerful, because it is. It's those, you're opening up those loops, and that is effectively the definition of creating interest, provided that it's a subject that they're interested in.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's particularly powerful. So Ken, like, I'm mindful of the time. This has been particularly valuable. I'm so stoked that I decided to get you to come on. Is there any particular resource that you wanted to recommend that would be a good first step with?
Yeah, absolutely.
People? Yeah.
With what I just showed there, Hilda,
Yep.
I have a 30-minute video that's
Uh-huh.
completely free, and that's inside of my free Facebook group. And there's downloadable worksheets and everything. So if any of your listeners are interested to get a more in-depth training around how to do that,
Yep.
I've got a free Facebook group. It's videomarketingcommunity.com. That'll redirect straight to the group. And that's my gift. I'd love to give to anybody who's listening and wants to take their video a little further.
Awesome. I'm actually in that group, and there's lots of incredible content in there. So yeah, I can certainly recommend that people go ahead and do that. And I'll put that link in the notes for this particular episode. And for people who might want to get in contact with you sooner than that, is there a preferred method that you would suggest that people use?
I think reaching me via Facebook Messenger is probably the fastest way.
Okay.
If people prefer email, feel free to reach out to me at, I don't know, should I give my email here? Am I going to get too much spam?
Totally up to you. Facebook's probably easier. Because most people are on it. So
go ahead and write to me. Yes, I'll take emails. Ken at Ozmedia. That's OZ or Z for Aussies.
Yep.
Media media.global global. So that's Ken at ozmedia.global, and that's my personal inbox. And I will read all the messages that come in.
Awesome. Unreal. Well, look, thanks so much again for being on with us today. I think this is going to be super valuable, and I've really enjoyed our chat. So thanks once more, Ken. I really very
John,
much.
thanks so much for having me. I enjoyed hanging out with you, and I'm glad we finally connected for this.
Yeah.
It's been a blast.
My pleasure.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies and maximize your sales process with new episodes every other week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive, free, no fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.